when I asked you the question, do you ever like just deeply want me sexually outside of me initiating? We brought that up a little bit on the previous episode. If you had a room full of men that wasn't getting none from their women, right, and they wanted just your honest opinion on why that may not happen, I want you to speak a little bit about how much your attraction to yourself affects you being able to be attracted to intimacy itself. I know you're attracted to me, but speak a little bit about that to the men that often take it personally. We
Yeah.
think we doing something wrong. Y'all don't really rock with us no more. Y'all not attracted. Can you speak to us about?
When you're in a relationship with somebody, you are willfully exposing yourself. And to a large degree, a lot of women and people in general, their fears of being fully seen and being extremely vulnerable and transparent and not showing up the best, not looking the best, not being able to look confident, not being able to wear the mask of my wife is a bad bee, my wife is gorgeous, my wife always got it together. And there's a lot of culture around women having to always be prim and proper because there's a lot of touting of that. And so now when you're in reality, because that's not realistic 24/7, women have night sweats, women have cold sweats, menopause, they gain weight, everything fluctuates and everything changes month to month just based on being on your cycle, let alone if you feel emotional heaviness and now you've gained weight. Because essentially gaining weight is your way to show up big in the world when you really don't feel comfortable doing it. And so the body's like, I know you don't feel good or confident enough to be seen. So I'm going to pack on this weight so the world can still see you. But internally, we're suffering from the lack of confidence, the insecurity, and our bodies have kind of been weaponized and used against us. So we've never had an opportunity to really love who we are.
My nigga, everything is love. Put that on anything I love. Yeah.
Peace, beloved.
Kratos Cinco.
Loopy.
Let me not use all my coins.
Please don't use all your coins. So will we get flagged for this?
What? Nah, that's original content.
Peace, beloved.
Hold it to the mic.
Everything is love. Out right now, streaming on all platforms. Theme song for our show. One of the best things of the year. Haters online sending subs, made my skin tough. Everything is love. Hey, when my plug got raided, I was bugged. Had he not, I'd be still selling drugs. Bruh, when my first love left me, I was crushed, but that heartbreak led me to the one. And when you find a blessing in the stress and it's a lesson, everything is love. Okay, that's all they get. Go stream that. Video coming soon. I got 3 other videos out right now. I directed 2 of them. So we got Everything is Love. We got Daddy Issues. We got Texture.
Yeah.
And Airplane Mode. Run me up.
Yeah.
All right, we here.
All right. I love that intro. All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of God Is Me Again. My name is Candyss Love.
I'm your boy, Brickcitibuddha.
And we are the podcasters.
That was really intense.
That was all I could come up with. Like, that's as far as my brain will allow me to go.
How you feel right now? Day 2, water fast, no food. Was day 1 difficult for you?
Day 1 was actually not difficult, but the night was. The night was really difficult for me.
And
what about you?
I was hungry the whole day. And normally I'm not hungry until about 4 or 5 o'clock. And we had to eat, cook food and fill up for 3 days prior.
Yeah.
I felt like I did a good job, and 11 o'clock hit and I was starving, and it maintained until I went to bed. That's why I went to bed so early. As soon as we was done, like, let me just eat some sleep real quick.
It ain't nothing to do but go to sleep.
Facts. I dreamt about messing up my fast and eating in my dream. It was crazy, but we always say around day 3 or 4, the body starts to adjust. I feel like that's starting to happen actually on day 2 for me. I still feel the sensation of what we would say is hunger, but
Yeah.
I'm also kind of shifting the perception in my mind to like remove hunger from the sensation and it just be a sensation that's new and untapped. Just something random I'm feeling in my body as opposed to hungry. But
Yeah, and you asked me yesterday, like, are you hungry yet? And I was able to share with you that I don't know that I'm driven to eat by hunger as much as I am habit.
right,
So for me, I don't really care about the sensation of being hungry. I've been able to do juice fast for like 30 plus days. One time I went to 90 days. So I can override the sensation of hunger, but it's the craving of habit that feels like, even when I was about to watch a battle rap video this morning while I was brushing my teeth. And even that made me feel like normally when I watch this video, I'm eating something.
yeah.
And so it's like the habit of when I crave a certain food.
Which kind of segues into the conversation, but I want to ask you a question first because I know for men, routine is something that makes us feel safe. Which often doesn't look like, depending on the man, but it also often doesn't look like, I guess, succumbing to habit, because our routine and based on our linear perspective of things and how we function, we can honor routine very easily. We're on the other end of the spectrum. Y'all need diversity. Y'all need change up. Y'all need switches. You need it to feel a certain way, smell a certain way, which can often open you up and make you more susceptible as women to habit.
Yeah.
What comes up for you in a moment when you are able to just honor your habit, get in your bed, eat your little chips, or when you used to eat your, like, what are you feeling in that moment? What does it do for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I am honoring my habit and I have the something salty and then I have the something sweet, I feel like a little kid. And I'm like, oh, and I get to watch my favorite show. And it's like, our life is not stressful. But being an entrepreneur can be stressful if you adopt that mindset. And so I recognize that a lot of the day-to-day things can make me feel detached from ease. And so when it's my opportunity to let all of that go, I'm not helping anybody, I'm not guiding anybody. It's like now time for that little excited girl to come out. She gets her favorite chips. When I was younger, that used to be the tic-tac-toe Cheetos, which they discontinued. That was horrible.
Cheetos?
Yeah, they came in the big bag and they weren't the swirls, but the swirls were fire too. But they had a tic-tac-toe kind.
Those.
And I would have Cheetos and, you know, whatever my favorite food was, but I would watch my favorite movies before I would go to bed. And so now the habit is just that cozy feeling. It feels safe. It feels like genuine fun.
And that's the word that was coming up for me. So let me ask you this too. It's one of the moments I just want to pick your brain a little bit before we dive into the topic. Is habit time the safest you feel throughout the course of a day?
I would say it's the safest my inner child feels. Because typically the inner child is the saboteur.
Okay.
That's typically the one that sabotages, that wants her way, that if it's a craving, she wants it. There's no limits, there's no discipline, there's no boundaries. And she is the one that doesn't understand the logic of why this is not healthy. And so the craving that she has is just really strong because, and I know it's her because it's not just the food. It's also a particular type of show that comes with the food.
It's the ritual.
It's the ritual. And that is what I did when I was younger. That's what my mom used to always point out to me. She would be like, remember, you notice, or she would just point out, do you notice how many Oreos you're eating? And she would say that, you know, not that you have an addictive personality, But I want you to be mindful of when your body asks you to stop and what's happening when your body asks you to stop, but you override that and you continue going beyond the point where it's actually not necessary. Because I wouldn't eat the serving size. I would eat the whole box of Oreos. And so she would just point that out to me. And so I know that when I'm eating something and I'm like, I could have some more, or I could just eat the whole bag and, hopefully nobody notices. That's all my inner child.
So being that is really, it's not just inner child work, it's persona work. Is you being able to be in concert with multiple versions of yourself that still need their time to come to the surface, but don't often get that because you're a big woman now. You're a businesswoman, you're an adult. So the only time y'all really get is your little 20, 30 minutes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's validity to that. She does need that time with you. But like you said with the saboteur thing, and what I was saying as far as the habit often blocking a routine, you've often found yourself in spaces where it has affected your overall health.
Absolutely.
Physically. And we've talked a little bit about this before, but we're going to talk about it in a different way and how it correlates to relationships, intimacy, sex. We briefly covered this in the previous episode, but we're going to dive fully into it. So when we was talking about my hunger versus your habit and our difficulty right now being completely different, for me, it's just hunger. The habit don't matter to me, but for you, it's more so habit. You also said that you realized that you have not been happy with your body right now.
Right.
And that brought up the conversation that I brought up about when I asked you the question, do you ever like just deeply want me sexually outside of me initiating? We brought that up a little bit on the previous episode. Don't know when it's going to air, but I want to dive into that topic. And first, I want you to kind of talk about like if you had a room full of men that wasn't getting none from their women, right? And they wanted just your honest opinion on why that may not happen. I want you to speak a little bit about how much your attraction to yourself affects you being able to be attracted to intimacy itself. I know you're attracted to me. I know you rock with me. I know you love me and you want me. But speak a little bit about that to the men that often take it personally.
Yeah.
We think we doing something wrong. Y'all don't really rock with us no more. Y'all not attracted. Can you speak to us about that?
Yeah. I think that when a man has recognized that their woman has not necessarily checked out, but she has grown distant in the intimacy department where she initiates and doesn't really show that she wants him as deeply as he shows her, we have to acknowledge that it could be so many different factors, and I'm not even going to be able to think of them all. But essentially, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you are willfully exposing yourself. And the average person
You just said that last night. About, I couldn't believe 7 years ago I would have been able to be in the house and be on my period and look crazy.
Exactly. You're willfully exposing yourself. And to a large degree, a lot of women and people in general, their fears of being fully seen and being extremely vulnerable and transparent and not showing up the best, not looking the best, not being able to look confident, not being able to wear the mask of my wife is a bad bee, my wife is gorgeous, my wife always got it together. And there's a lot of culture around women having to always be prim and proper because there's a lot of touting of that. And so now when you're in reality, because that's not realistic 24/7, women have night sweats, women have cold sweats, menopause, they gain weight, everything fluctuates and everything changes month to month just based on being on your cycle, let alone if you feel emotional heaviness and now you've gained weight, because essentially gaining weight is your way to show up big in the world when you really don't feel comfortable doing it. And so the body's like, I know you don't feel good or confident enough to be seen, so I'm going to pack on this weight so the world can still see you. But internally, we're suffering from the lack of confidence, the insecurity, and our bodies have kind of been weaponized and used against us. So we've never had an opportunity to really love who we are. Right now is really a a epidemic of people unlearning, women unlearning all of the toxic mannerisms of being a woman and learning how to really love who they are moment to moment. So if you have a woman who is just trying to wake up every day and feel safe in her body, but then she also has to perform, wear a mask, show up as beautiful, and then also initiate sex where she already feels exposed, naked, and vulnerable and insecure. It's not really a time for intimacy. It's not even a time where she can be intimate with herself. And so to offer a man something that she literally doesn't have, it has no choice but to be performative. And at some point, all actors have to take off their mask.
So you mentioned a few things that we got to unpack. I'm going to start backwards because you did mention the night sweats. And at this point, for the past, I would say almost 4 months, 3-4 months, we ain't been sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah, I
Right.
sleep downstairs.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a conscious decision. Like I would see you go through turning on and turning off the AC 50 times a night. I'm trying to put the covers on and take them back off according to what you needed in that moment. But it wasn't a conscious conversation we had. I know you feel really comfortable in what you don't like me calling your room, but it's your room now. And we about to add on to the house for when Marty get here so he can have his own space. But I feel like part of that is not just about the night sweats. It's also where you ain't got to worry about my onlooking eye, even though it's never judgment from my end. You really just, if you need to fart down there, you got your night sweats, whatever it is you doing, you get to have that space. I low-key feel like long-term relationships, there should at least be seasons. There should be periods where y'all don't sleep in the same bed if y'all got the opportunity to do that. Just so y'all, but specifically women, can have that freedom to take everything off and psychologically. You crying? Why you crying?
I think it's just made me feel like unconsciously kind of bad.
Why?
Because I know it's something that I do enjoy. I do enjoy sleeping by myself at night. I enjoy that personal time for myself. But I guess sometimes I feel like I may be taking something from you. You know, like, and that's why I make sure that I'm with you when you fall asleep. At the very least, and it does feel like the very least, or I'll fall asleep together, and then when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll go downstairs. But it's like acknowledging it's something that I do need, and I didn't know that I needed it until it started happening
organically.
Yeah, because I was just having so many night sweats and uncomfortable, and then I would start my cycle, and it was just like, okay, I do need room to just not have the eye. And that's what it is. That's the part. That's what made me tear up is the onlooking eye. And for the longest time, like I said, I've always been afraid of being seen, even though people always see me. I've never allowed anybody to see the truth of who I am, ever. Everybody has gotten the version of Candyss that I've wanted them to get. And the only version that, the only person that's ever been able to see the truth of who I am is you. And so how exhausting is it to the persona that can't hide? There's nowhere to go. And sometimes hiding isn't just about like protecting something. It's just like, you know, even like if you're in a crowded room, some people go to the bathroom just to catch their breath. Some people go sit in a car just to catch their breath and just have that sensation of alone time. And I felt like I didn't want to compromise my need for that. And I also didn't want to rob you of the intimacy that you deserve and that I actually want to give. So it has been difficult for me to fully accept that it's okay, even knowing that it's okay, knowing that it's a need, but I haven't wanted to take that experience from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just such a weird space to be in, even though I know that you're okay with it. It's still that thing in the back of my head that's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you just made me appreciate what y'all deal with more outside of just our relationship, and I'm gonna get to my perspective of the shift. And that's not sleeping together. the onlooking eye for y'all is constant, right? Before you, I mean, as a married woman, before you even get home, when you go out, you're being judged at the supermarket. You're being judged at the mall. In a business setting, you're being judged. Yeah, she pretty, but does she really know her shit? Is she intelligent enough? Is she smart enough? It's constant. And it's judgment for men too, but I don't think anywhere near as much as how much attention y'all naturally command with your feminine, beautiful, flowy energy. It's hard for anybody not to have an onlook at women. Look at women. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even just the men or society. Women are also judging y'all as well. It's constant. It's incessant. So to a large degree, when I talk to women, one of the main things they talk about wanting to do when they get home is take their bra off and fart. Like they've been holding it in the whole day. And when you are in a committed relationship and y'all cohabitate, you don't get the opportunity to just freely come in the house without the onlooking eye. And even though you comfortable with my onlooking eye, even though you know I'm never judging you negatively with my onlooking eye, it's still an onlooking eye. You know what I'm saying? And it's still the weight that you have already carried throughout the day of all the different ways you've been judged, not to mention social media. So even your likeness got an onlooking eye on it that you can't even fathom how many people are judging in different ways. At a certain point, women need to just pause the onlooking eye. And it don't mean you're not comfortable with me. It don't mean you don't rock with me. And I guess my response to, you know, how you felt about taking something from me.
Yeah, I would really like to know how that makes you feel.
I think it's a testament to the work I've done, but the work you've also held my hand through, challenged me on, talked to me about. And you know, one of my wounds that I've been working through is affection. Didn't get affection from my mom. A lot of relationships, I was deprived of it. So I came in a certain level of affection deprivation. I wouldn't say I've ever been like needy in this relationship, but the need has been there, even if I haven't expressed it, because I did heal enough to know, even if you feel you want to be around her, you just can't have that. You know what I'm saying? In a healthy way. But it's a testament to the work we've been able to do together, because initially when it first started happening, I didn't feel away. I missed you. I missed being able to sleep with you, but I understood, and I think it did start when you was on your cycle one time. And of course, I understood that the night sweats was increasing. Initially, it was just like, all right, she just got to be able to regulate her temperature. As the days and the weeks turned into months, at a certain point, like I'd be in the bed and I'm almost happy for you that I'm in a space where I don't feel away whatsoever. I'm actually happier that you get to have those moments to yourself. You get to retreat to your own devices, the pets in the room with you. You get to have your own little segment or sect of our family. And I think that's important too. When you're talking about a family unit, we got Marty, we got your children as far as the pets, we got each other. There's going to be times where we got to compartmentalize, and it got to be me and Marty time. It got to be you and Cleo time. It got to be you and the cat's time. It got to be our time. The fact that we able to do that and not trip either way, and like I said, I feel happy that you get to have that space. So you ain't got to worry about Doc's feeling away. You ain't got to worry about taking nothing from me. And the moments that we do get to fall asleep together, it mean that much more. The moments where you make sure you fall asleep with me before you mosey downstairs at 2:00 in the morning when I'm still knocked out, it mean more. So you ain't got to trip about that. No pressure on that. We could do this for the rest of our life if that's what's called for. Okay? You believe me?
Yes.
You trust me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you, baby.
Let that go. Absolutely. But I think you scraped the bottom of the ocean with that. That helped me realize more as a man the depth of the pressure y'all under. And then you also brought up something else as far as when we see thick, we see beautiful.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you gained 45 pounds and you've been much heavier than you are right now. But you also referenced the fact that it took you a lifetime to gain that weight before. You've gained 45 pounds in about 3 to 4 months. So it's been a lot quicker, which has pushed your own onlooking eye and judgment to the forefront in a way that may not have been there before. So it kind of brings up the conversation of how men have been trained and conditioned to perceive beauty. And you could say, I'm not happy with how I look. You on point right now to me. Most men would be like, nigga, you bugging, right? And I posted about this a couple weeks ago, and a lot of these videos are popping up, whether it's Ozempic or not. You hot?
Yeah. I'm combusting.
That's what happens when emotions emotion comes up, brothers, be able to recognize it. Yeah, it's been a lot of posts, whether it's Ozempic or they really working hard, especially black women. A lot of women are posting them at their thickest, and they looking great. But then it's, all right, this is where I'm at now, and they are completely in shape. A lot of that weight has been lost. And in the comment section, you see man after man, like, go back to the old one.
That's
I
very
want
true.
the old one.
Yeah.
I want the thick one.
You look better before you lost weight.
And when you said that part about we may look great to the world, but to us, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And since we've been having those conversations, sometimes when I see like thicker women out, I'm not, of course, I'm not like sexually attracted to them. I can see it though. And now my mind goes to, damn, I wonder what it's like, because I wonder what that's like right now, because it's 102 degrees in Texas, right? And I can't see the rolls that under there that may be building up sweat in between them, and all those little things that I get to see you sometimes have to deal with. Now I'm thinking about those things and how uncomfortable our perception of beauty can be for y'all, which can further contribute to, I'm not happy with how I look right now, even though my man is like, that extra 45 pounds looks great. It's a lot underneath it that sometimes we can't see.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like, it's a double-edged sword, because, well, not a double-edged sword. It's actually good, and it's an invitation. So the good part is that it's an invitation to just embody what is. And sometimes you need a different voice that's like, nah, I'm good. Like, I like what I see. You know what I'm saying? Like, to embody that extra thickness or whatever the thing is that a person is dealing with. So that's great to know that at least my husband still sees my beauty. And then the other part of that is just feeling so uncomfortable in your body. But now you have a person that all eyes are on what they like. They like the extra. They like the fluffiness and the thickness. But it requires, now it's more eyes. It's more butt slaps. You know, it's more grabbing and things like that. And so it's trying to feel confident even in those small moments where you may slap my butt. All I feel is the waves and the jiggling. And it's like, Lord, you know what I'm saying?
I never even thought about that.
And I think one thing that hasn't been acknowledged is how women put on weight unconsciously to protect themselves. And, you know, so for instance, when a woman has a big butt, that's typically also hips as well. And so that's essentially a sign that there may be some womb trauma. And so the body is trying to protect you from any more trauma in the womb. So like sexual abuse, sexual assault, molestation, all of that starts to develop when the body has experienced some level of trauma. I'm a person who doesn't have that, but I have larger breasts. Essentially, that's a broken heart, or that's grief. You know what I'm saying? So
It's back there. It's back there.
thank you, babe.
It's back there.
And so
Y'all don't even need to see or know all that. It's back there. I know.
So when women are packing on this weight, it's also important to not just be uncomfortable, but to recognize what is the body actually trying to communicate. And 9 times out of 10 is trying to communicate that there is a wounding somewhere, wherever you're packing on the weight. There is a wounding that the body is overcompensating with fat by trying to help you stay safe in the area. So protecting the heart, protecting the womb area, protecting the back. People talk about their back rolls all the time, and a lot of your organs live closer to that area, and a lot of worry, fear, all of that has to do with the lower back and things like that. So I think if women and men started to acknowledge that these are signs for deeper things outside of just how good we look or how uncomfortable we feel in our body.
And also protecting his attraction. Because like you said, when it may be, especially in the black and brown community, we built different than other ethnicities, right?
Yeah.
So when a woman may get thicker and there may be extra butt slaps and kisses and nibbling on the neck or whatever it may be, it's reinforcing to the woman, damn, this is what he likes, but I'm uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So even if I want to lose this, if I do that, I could lose his attraction. I could lose my man altogether. Infidelity could come into play. And it's this unspoken pressure that y'all feel to not go into what may be the healthiest and most comfortable state for y'all.
Because then you'll lose your butt.
Because you could possibly lose your man. And
Yep.
men got to kind of come to grips with the fact that a lot of us are attracted to our women in their most unhealthy state. And if they were to transition out of that, would you lose your attraction? A lot of men are vying for their women to, you could do side bends or sit-ups, but please don't lose that butt.
Yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot famous line, I think that's an expression of what a lot of men don't think about, because what you see in those comment sections is almost their fear of them needing to challenge their perspective of what's beautiful. What's beautiful, most beautiful about you, about my wife, is you in your most balanced, healthiest state. I done seen you go through so many different transitions on so many
Yes.
different levels, but of course physically, you've been 20 different people physically.
Yeah.
When you in your most natural state, that's what's beautiful to me, right? And a lot of men will really weaponize y'all body against y'all in ways that the man isn't conscious of, because what the sentiment I got a lot in the comment section when I did post about it was men was like, nah, this is how black women is naturally built. And until we do our own healing work, we don't realize a lot of us is not thick. We swollen. A lot of men are not, and we say the word swole as men, right? It's more so the buildup of mucus, the buildup of emotional weight, all these different things that inflammation, these things that we think are representations of health, is really the exact opposite. But we've been so conditioned, we don't even take the time to think about, is this extra 60 pounds on my woman healthy for her just on a physical level?
Yeah.
What is this doing to her heart? What is this doing to her kidneys? What is this doing to her lungs? All we thinking about is, damn, that look good. I love this extra 50 pounds.
Yeah.
So we got to come to some level of investigation, I think, as men, to figure out what's most important to you. Is it her homeostasis or your heart on?
I know that's right. And one of the things that I've always seen this on social media or on TV shows where a woman has gained weight and then a man goes and cheats because he's dissatisfied with how she looks. And then people are like, well, go in the gym with her, work out with her. And I just thought it was the most loving thing ever when you ready to go on our walk.
I was just about to bring that up. Go ahead. You got it.
And so you started, you always walk.
Yeah.
And you walk really far.
Yeah.
But this is slow meditative walks. You do your
Low
workouts.
impact, yep.
Yeah, you do your workouts, but the walks are so long that you ain't got no choice but to feel it.
Like an hour, hour and a half usually.
Yeah. And so you started really come on.
And I've been asking for years.
Yeah.
More so as intimacy, it ain't really had nothing to do with
Nah.
losing weight. I just want you to walk with me because I understand how powerful and peaceful it is.
Yeah. And recently it's been like, come on, we're going on our walk. And when we get out there, it's like husband drill sergeant starts coming out, because it's like, all right, we're doing our reps and we doing our lunges and all of those things. And initially it was about intimacy and just having that time together out in nature and, just releasing the world. But I recognize that this is so fun for us. For me to experience you in that way and to also see how you are nurturing me and caring for me and providing just a safe space. Yeah. And leading and allowing me to not have it all together, to be uncomfortable and to thank you, babe. And to let me just do this level of healing out loud. Because a lot of how I've evolved has been in silence and not even just in solitude, but in isolation.
And self-reliance, not being able to get no help.
Not being able to get any help and not allowing anybody to see me that way.
Right.
All of the times I allow people to see me, on my Instagram highlights, it's because that's when I chose to post it. I posted it when I wanted to post it. I wanted people to see that when I wanted them to see that.
I've never healed in front of anybody.
Right.
And so to now have that opportunity where you're just like, come on. And it's not even to help me lose weight.
Right.
It's just because you just enjoy spending time with me. And that in itself is healing, because I can be out there, I can complain, I can act like a little girl. I don't want to do
But then still
this.
do it, then have fun doing it. Yeah.
And then we out and we looking at houses, and it just makes me feel really grateful to have you just step up in all of the areas I could ever think of. You're just right there. And it's nothing. It's like you really understand what provision is, and you really understand what leadership is as a man. And it don't even feel like you think twice about it. It's just like you have the answers, and I can really just relax and know my husband gonna take care of it. My husband got me, even down to the point, did you eat today? Have you thought about what you're going to eat today? We need to start planning out your meals on what you're going to eat. Remember, you like this. It even got to a point to where you had me write out all of the foods that I like, because my inner child forgets. And she wants to eat the same thing over and over and over again. And you're like, but your taste buds have grown. Remember, don't forget that. So you had me write down a list of all the foods and restaurants that I like. And also the memory of, babe, remember, you love to cook. You really enjoy it. These are things that I forget about as I'm evolving. And you right there just reminding me every single day, even on this heavy metal fast. Did you take your tinctures? Did you take your herbs? Like I am a priority in your thought process. And I'm really, really grateful for that. Yeah.
Let me just receive that for a second.
Yeah.
I know this ain't regular podcast protocol, but it's real shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so to what you said too, thank you for that, first and foremost, for acknowledging that, for always acknowledging me in those ways. That's part of what I wanted to get to later. It's probably gonna be a part two. But I will say this part now, that some of the things that can help, I guess, hold a man over in times where you may not be feeling your best, you may not be attracted to yourself or attraction, and you may need a fast period where he got to kind of fall back. Of course, I got a lot of other tools and mechanisms I can rely on, and I'm just not sexually relying at this point anyway. But for men that may not be in that space, what you just did can carry a man days, weeks, months, in between sexual experiences if his woman took the time to pour into him like that.
Yeah.
To acknowledge him like that, to see him like that. So that's one thing. Going back to what you said about the walks, it's also, I guess, me not putting the pressure on you to quickly adhere to my guidance. I mean, you do so in so many different ways. So there is a cachet built up where if it's certain things that's taking you a little bit longer or you lagging, I got all the patience in the world because you honor so much of my leadership. But like I said, I have been asking for that for years.
Yeah.
Never felt the way when he was like, no, not today. And then all of a sudden, when it's time, when you are in this period of gaining weight at the same time, you had periods where you've gone to, what's your gym? Not Planet Fitness, right?
Live Fitness, LA Fitness.
Yeah, Live Fitness. So you've had your moments, your weeks at a time, sometimes months when you're going in there every morning.
Yeah.
Crack of dawn, right? Very masculine approach.
Yes.
To your workout, lifting the weights, right? And it's beautiful that the way I approach walking is everything included. You got the meditation, you got the low impact, you got the cardio, you also got self weightlifting without weights, right? So everything is there.
The breathing.
So being able to introduce you to a new approach to loving on your body. Because there's so much pressure, especially in social media. I mean, women is working out like men at this point, right? And y'all get great results. No shade to that, no diss. If that's what y'all like, great. But it's a lot of women that don't appreciate a masculine or don't resonate well with a masculine approach to taking care of their body.
Yeah.
They need something maybe more feminine, more soft, more yin energy than just going in there and busting down the weights. And I got a kick out of watching you being able to flourish in that space, even down to when I take my walks, I just go around the neighborhood. Every time I take a different route because I walk so far, but pretty much I'm just seeing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And in our neighborhood, we got great areas, we got not so great areas. So I'm not really looking at much, right? I needed to learn that when you finally agree to the walk, it's like, let's go to where I walk with Cleo. I want to go see the nice house. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Let's take this drive. And now I've uncovered a new level of fun for me in the walks.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to meet you where you need to be met. And you engaging in the activity. You don't even realize you walking half the time.
Right.
Because we in these ritzy areas, we judging people's houses, we rating them. It's like an hour and a half before we even realize we got some tension in our legs because we've been walking so far, so long. So it's been dope to be able to meet you where you needed to be met, and me being patient and open enough for 2 years of asking for it, and then it finally shows up, and immediately you teach me a better way to be able to honor you, honoring your body in that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got anything to that?
No, I think that's beautiful.
All right, so let me see where we at. Okay, so going back to how the habit, the saboteur, the pressure of keeping your body a certain way when that's not the case, when you may lose attraction. One of the questions I had was when you may push through. Like, you're not feeling yourself right now. You're not attracted to yourself. You're not attracted to sexual energy at large right now. But your husband is initiating. Mm-hmm. How does it feel for you in some of those moments where you have to push through your lack of attraction to yourself to honor what it is that I want?
Yeah. It feels...
Sit with it. And let me preface why you're thinking about that.
Okay.
That's a different question and a different conversation from women who are coerced and end up just succumbing to their husband's constant requests. And you need to, this is a different nuance to that, a way more subtle one, because I never pressure you. Whenever you don't want to have sex, I don't want to have sex.
Right.
I need you to be in that same state for me to feel comfortable in that space. But sometimes I don't know that you're not attracted to yourself. Mm-hmm. And you may have to push through. I still don't even feel like you perform in those moments. But there is a push through. I want to know what that's like.
I think the push through for me feels more... It feels more like just an opportunity to connect deeper with you. And so in that moment, it is no longer about how I feel, because one thing that I do know is you always make me feel sexy. And I feel sexy to you. And especially in those moments where we are intimate, I feel sexy in those moments. Because I can see how you looking at me. I can see how you hold me, how you grab me and things like that. So the push through is really my only push through is when I have to initiate.
Okay.
That's where there's active trying. And outside of that, I'm more so excited to just share this intimacy space with you. So it doesn't feel like a dishonoring. It doesn't feel like a self-betrayal. It doesn't feel like a performance, because there's never been a time that we made love that I didn't want to make love. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So those are really authentic, intimate moments.
So my attraction to you in those moments is enough for both of us, even if you're not attracted to yourself.
Yeah, because those moments give me deeper time to connect with myself as well in a different way, in a really, really raw, vulnerable, intimate way. So, and you know, that little walk I do down the stairs, you know, after like all of that little part of our ritual, it just makes me feel like we are like this, and we always feel like this, but it's just a deeper time for us to connect.
Okay, and then going to the question itself, when I did bring it up, you said, and have been saying since when we talk about it, about all the different things that brought up in you about you. outside of even what I was maybe requesting or trying to investigate, what were some of the things that was brought up when I asked you, do you ever want me sexually without me initiating? What did that bring up for you?
It brought up my fear of rejection. It brought up abandonment. It brought up my fear of being seen, because to initiate is to be seen. All eyes are gonna be on me. It's like,
eye again.
yeah, you know. And so it brought up the fact that I didn't know how to initiate without performing. And so it was difficult because it's like, I don't know how to do this and genuinely be present without being in my mind. And because my whole past has been about performance. It has been a mask. And so if I'm going to genuinely show up and initiate, then I have to bypass the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, the fear of being seen, as well as the voice that I feel like I just didn't have access to yet.
Not to cut your wisdom, but I think that rejection piece is big to unpack, especially for men, because a lot of times when we with y'all and y'all are beautiful, we get confused when y'all say y'all are afraid of rejection from us. We already here. We want you. Y'all are women. So I want to unpack some of the nuances of the rejection. Let me ask you this. As far as the onlooking eye, and yeah, I've never even had this thought before I asked you this question. Even though I'm not doing it, I never negatively judge you in any way, shape, or form. With that onlooking eye pressure, let's say, it may be a couple months since we had sex last and you got a new role. You got a new aspect of yourself that you may be self-conscious about, right?
A new role,
a new role, right? You got a new biscuit in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Or it's a particular moment where your emotion and energy is flowing in a certain way where you may not be as open to when I'm about to penetrate, and we may have more do little things like this that to me, I'm not even thinking about it. It's some of that rejection not based on you as an overall being, but some of these little idiosyncrasies or micro shifts in your energy, your emotion, and your body. Are you sometimes thinking, does he notice this? Is he judging me for this? Like, is that some of the rejection that shows up in some way?
I think the way that you hadn't really thought about that question.
You had neither?
No, but yeah, I think so. And maybe not while having sex, but just on a daily basis.
Okay.
Like, can he see that my face is breaking out?
Right.
Like, does he feel a way about that? Or does he notice that my boobies have gotten bigger? Does he notice that I can't fit none of my jeans? That when I sit down now in my jeans, I have to unbutton the top button, and it's like, okay, does he notice that? I don't know that I feel.
I just thought you'd just be chilling. Now I don't even think about this shit like that.
I don't know that I feel that it feels like rejection, but I also don't even know that the fear of rejection is valid in the actual moment. It's no, just in general. It's like a past overarching energy that really doesn't even have any business living, I'll speak for myself, in our union, because that's never happened. So it's like, yes, the fear is valid because there's a past that validates it, but there's not a present that validates it. So I can't say that anything happens in our union that makes me feel rejected, because when men are like, where is this coming from? I can only reference the past. There's no situation within our union where I've ever been able to use that as a reference.
And now you're talking mindfulness, you're talking meditation, because as we know, there is no past. Even when you have a thought of the past, it's happening where? In the present moment.
Yeah.
So we just watched a phenomenal video on mindfulness and, being able to observe your own mind. And he used the term the narrator. And everybody has this internal narrator, You know, when you by yourself and eating a plate of food and you're not talking to nobody, the narrator's saying, damn, this food is good, right?
Yep.
And your narrator is already planning your next great meal, and your narrator is always talking to you. I feel like probably women more so than men, even though it's inordinate amount of information for both genders. Like I always reference the fact that the average human being is thinking between 55 and 75 thoughts a minute, translates to about 70,000 thoughts per day. And most of us are overthinkers in 2025. For a lot of us, double, triple, if not quadruple those numbers. We talking 500,000 thoughts, 1,000,000 thoughts every single day. That's the narrator's conversations.
Yeah.
And until you are able to have some level of distance and space from the narrator, you won't be able to demarcate. The narrator is not me. These thoughts are not my thoughts. There is something behind me that's listening, that's able to even observe the narrator. And I think in this type of conversation, when you said a lot of this idea of him rejecting me, it ain't even valid.
It's not even
right?
valid.
But that's because the narrator is conditioned to always find a way to be fearful, to always find a way to complain. It always needs a hero and a villain. It always needs some level of polarity. So in a lot of this, men feel powerless because we could tell y'all till y'all blue in the face, I love you, I'm attracted to you, you beautiful.
I want this.
But the narrator is blocking that message. So there is a certain level to this for women where you got to go into that cave of your mind. You got to start to lock in on your meditations, being silent, getting in nature. And I know a lot of spirituality that people prefer is the stuff that's activity based.
Yeah.
When it's time for us to go away from activity, that's where a lot of us struggle. It can feel excruciating to pull yourself away from the narrator and from the mind, but that's a lot of the work that needs to happen in these spaces.
Yeah, and it reminds me of just a few weeks ago, I had a girls trip. Mm-hmm. And during the girls trip, this conversation came up, mm-hmm. and we got to see how common this actually is. And after we had that conversation, it just sparked something in me to where I was like, ain't no bitch in my blood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't about to be walking around scared to the point that my scaredness is robbing me of intimacy with my husband. And nothing's happening. It's just here. Yeah. Like there's nothing that is making me feel unsafe. Even like I just said, I may be uncomfortable in my body, but when it's that time, I feel extremely sexy. Mm-hmm. So then that's actually not an excuse. Mm-hmm. It's more of what I am not giving myself permission to push through. Mm-hmm. And so at the girls trip, I was like, yeah, I'm right. Mm-hmm. Ain't no bitch in my blood. Mm-hmm. I'm about to go home and have a quickie with my husband. And so it was like, babe,
in the middle of the day,
where you at? How long is it gonna take for you to get home? And that was it. I came, we made love, and I went back to my girls trip. And recognizing how
I'm having flashbacks.
recognizing how easy that was.
Yeah, and fun.
And fun. Yeah. And how I was easily received. Mm-hmm. Like there was no awkwardness. There was no moment where I felt uncomfortable, mm-hmm. because this is something that you also wanted. Yeah. So it was like, well, I get to embody that confidence that I was always afraid to do, and not allow my brain to talk me out of it. That was the biggest thing. And when you ask the question, is there ever times that you want me like sexually like that? Yes. But the fear would override that. The narrator. So I would kind of get stuck and frozen, and I just would never follow through. And there would be moments where I'm like, I'm about to go upstairs right now. But I would just get stuck and frozen, and I wouldn't follow through. So now it's like, I'm not allowing this narrator to punk me and rob me of the intimacy with my husband.
All right, so let's do a part 2.
Okay.
We're going to table it for right now. Come right back. In closing, what you got?
Y'all can purchase my book, Remember Who the F You Are. The link will be below. Also, we have the Tulum, Mexico, 2 spaces open.
June 27th, July 1st.
And then we have the Texas Emotional Healing Retreat.
September 25th to 28th.
Yep, on 53 acres of land, farmland, lake, pool, trails. And then I'm also offering one-on-one sessions.
I'm also offering one-on-one sessions, couples counseling, family counseling. I work with ages... what is it? What am I doing now? 13 and up. I take a different approach with 13 and 18, but I do work with children of that age. Music out. We said that in the beginning of the episode. I got merch on the way. Energy Bougie merch is definitely on the way. And if you are in Atlanta and this airs previous to that, we will be with tonight's conversation.
Yeah.
Live tour, live show May 31st, Saturday, May 31st. And then we will be at the Houston show June 21st as well.
Yep.
So we appreciate y'all presence, y'all attention as always. Give us comments, give us questions, like, comment, subscribe, share, favorite. Just continue to push these conversations forward because a lot of these conversations are not happening in the podcast arena. So help us help y'all. Peace.
Bye.